Today, I want to talk a little bit about chanting in asana practice. So, I was in Bodh Gaya about 27 years ago. I can't believe it was that long ago, but it was. And let me fix my light here. And when I was in Bodh Gaya, which is the town in India where it said that Buddha achieved enlightenment. So there's many different Buddhist temples there and beautiful trees. And there's this one huge tree, and they say it's a seedling from the original Bodhi tree. Who knows? But it's a beautiful place and very interesting. Culturally very interesting. And if you're into Buddhism, it's very interesting. But the reason I'm talking about Bodh Gaya is because one of the things I saw there is one of the sects, SECTS, one of the sects. The people do this movement where they reach their arms up and then they prostrate out and then they come back up again. And while they're doing it, they're chanting mantras. And really, when you think about that kind of movement with the mantra, that's where sun salutations kind of come from. I mean, there's a long story about sun salutations where they actually come from, but the Bihar school of yoga has mantra with each part of the sun salutation. So this chanting in asana is not sort of a new thing. It's not an innovation. It's actually something that's been around for a long time. And I would say it's a body prayer that was probably very, very likely was associated with asana from a long time ago. So all of that to say that chanting in your asana practice is kind of it feels kind of natural, and it certainly is traditional. That to say that. Now let's talk about what's going on when you do this chanting in terms of the physiology. What's going on physiologically? Okay, so there are a few interesting research studies on chanting with the vagus nerve, and the chanting that they used is the pranava chant, which is Om. You've heard it. We do it in yoga all the time. The vagus nerve is the wandering nerve, and it starts up in here in the medulla, which is part of your brain stem, and then it travels through the viscera, travels through the body. And one of its super high rates goes from your brain down and sends information, but 80%, four of the five super high rates go up, and they take information from your body and they bring it up. So when you're chanting out here, this is one of the branches of the vagus nerve that comes out to the throat. It sends information back up into the brain, has to process through the thalamus and percolate up there into other parts of from the brainstem into other parts of the front brain. And one of the things that happens when you chant, well, the research is that I've seen is only on Om, but one of the things that happens when you chant is it starts to percolate these feelings up into the brain that say, the nervous system is chill. We're in a state of parasympathetic, ventral vagal, if you like, parasympathetic homeodynamic balance. Like everything's good. The nervous system is good. So that's one of the effects or one of the sort of mechanisms is that shift in the nervous system. But there's a second important mechanism that's happening with chanting in terms of the autonomic nervous system. And that is that chanting is a great way to lengthen your exhale. And we know that when the exhale lengthens, it's like putting your foot down on the vagal brake. You're braking into the nervous system. So it's like chilling out the nervous system, makes the heart rate slow down, So, but there's a law of diminishing returns there with the breath, because you don't like when your breath gets too long and then you're like, no, that's not doing it for the nervous system. So you want the breath you have to find that sweet spot where the breath is nice and long. And by the way, you usually get there progressively, like you make the breath progressively longer. So that's why it's great to not just chant Om, but to chant, like, for example, you could chant a yoga sutra. The most famous one that most people know is Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So you could chant yogash. Yoga is the cessation of fluctuations of the mind, right? So yogash on your first exhale, then yogashita on your second exhale, makes it longer. Yogashita vritti makes it a little longer. Yogashita vritti nirodha. There's different ways of chanting it, but that's just one possibility. And then you chant that 4 or 5 times and lengthen it, right? Now, the next thing to understand is that if you're going to be chanting on an exhale, which we have to, right? Real hard to chant on an inhale. We can't really talk when we're inhaling. The chanting happens on an exhale. Then you want to know, what are the postures that lend themselves to an exhale, and what do you think they are? Postures where the spine is doing this, right? So forward bending postures, as well as twisting postures. Those postures tend to lend themselves to exhales. Depends on them, but most of them do. And so that is a good time to do your chant. So today I want to show you just a simple practice. It's called asana with a simple mantra. We're just going to do Om. So you're welcome to join me if you like. But that doesn't mean you can't make your Om longer. Om is just kind of a simple way of doing it, right? So basics of Chakravakasana are inhale, tabletop, exhale, elbows go down to child's pose, right? But the inhale is a little bit dynamic. You pull your hands mindfully towards your knees, okay? So this would be the inhale. Lift the chest a bit, stretching that front body, and then exhale. Oh, maybe lasting 3 or 4 counts. Do it again. Oh. And then you can make it a little longer. And exhale to 5. Oh. Again. Exhale to 6. Oh. Right? And you could keep going. You could exhale to 7, to 8, to 9. When you get to the point where your exhale is like getting you to a place where you're starting to need to breathe in quickly, you've pushed it too far. So you remember that the sort of the primary guideline here is it should feel comfortable. It should feel like you're going into that parasympathetic relaxation place, not into I have to breathe in really fast. So it should be a comfortable kind of feeling. So that's sort of the guideline. So give it a try. Let me know how you like it. Please leave a comment. And if you would like, you are welcome to sign up for my newsletter. Just go to subtleyoga.com so you can keep up with things that are going on in my subtle world. I want to thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for being here.